Today's presentation is about a new social design coined a resource-based economy. A lot of the information here today will most likely challenge your beliefs, teachings, upbringing, education, but please put all those to the side for half an hour or so as we explore some of the information which has been derived from the Venus Project at www.thevenusproject.com. The Venus Project is an organisation that proposes a feasible plan for action for social change, one that works toward a peaceful and sustainable global civilization. It outlines an alternative to strive toward where human rights are not paper proclamations but also a way of life, a resource-based economy. In the words of Jacques Fresco, the Venus Project founder, we call for a straightforward redesign of our culture in which the age-old inadequacies of war, poverty, hunger, debt, and unnecessary human suffering are viewed not only as avoidable, but also as totally unacceptable. Anything less simply results in the continuation of the same catalogue of problems inherent in the present system. In this section, we are going to address the Venus Project and its advocacy of this new social system. Then we will address the role of so-called government in this new system, explaining the arcane nature of the institution as it exists today, and how through the use of advanced decision-making methods we will be able to remove the dangerous subjectivity and self-interest currently at work. Rather, we will arrive at decisions based on the scientific method with the use of technology. We will then put this into context by reviewing the new city conceptions by Jacques Fresco, along with how people's lifestyles will be altered and updated for the better. Basically, a resource-based economy utilizes existing resources rather than commerce. All goods and services are available without the use of currency, credit, barter, or any form of debt or servitude. The aim of this new social design is to free humanity from the repetitive, mundane, and arbitrary occupational roles, which hold no true relevance to social development, while in turn encouraging a new incentive system that is focused on self-fulfillment, education, social awareness, and creativity, as opposed to the shallow, self-centered goals of wealth, property, and power, which are dominant today. The Venus Project recognises that the Earth is abundant with resources and that our outdated methods of rationing resources through monetary control are no longer relevant. In fact, they are very counterproductive to our survival. The monetary system was created thousands of years ago during periods of great scarcity. Its initial purpose was a method of distributing goods and services based on labour contributions. It is not at all related to our true capacity to produce goods and services on this planet. The bottom line is that physical survival and quality of life is based solely on our use, management, and preservation of the Earth's resources. Now, with our ever-growing scientific ingenuity to utilise those resources in the most humane, technological, constructive, and strategic ways, the tradition for labour for money and money for resources now has no legitimate basis. Okay, now we are going to put all of this into a greater context and address the big issue of so-called government in a resource-based economy. Okay, first of all, government as we know it is a byproduct of environmental scarcity, like mafia tribes. The governments of the world seek to preserve their current positions of power while aggressively working to strengthen their economic advantage. They are really monetary system creations. Sadly, due to the very nature of their power, history is one constant chain of governmental corruption. From the genocidal slaughter of people in opposing nations to the deliberate oppression of a country's own people in order to maintain the established order. Government decisions today are based on self-interest, just like the corporations. There will never be such a thing as an ethical government as long as money can be used to influence the decisions of political participants. When we understand that everything in life in regard to social organisation is a technical process, we then see that there is little reason for subjectivity in the solving of any problem, for our technical insight can now arrive at most answers using the scientific method, along with accounting for all known variables relative to that problem. If a person reads one page of a book and closes it, he or she can easily have an opinion on their book as a whole. If another reads the whole book, they also might have an opinion. Whose opinion would you value more? The person who reads the full book or the person who only reads one page? In other words, the more information taken into account in the process of decision making, the more accurate that decision will be. Computers can access trillions of bits of information a second across vast informational databases and compute output results near the speed of light. The transfer of decision making to computers is the next phase of social evolution. It greatly reduces human error and removes dangerous biases, subjectivity, and erroneous opinions. Because of the limitations of the sensory and cortical equipment in our mind and body, no one can know everything there is to know in this world at one time. Our senses are limited in range. Our eyes can only see a fraction of the electromagnetic field. Therefore, it is only logical that we delegate decision-making to machines, for they do not have these restrictions. Computers used as tools can and will be able to solve problems which humans simply cannot due to our physical and mental limitations. It is no different than a person who wears a pair of glasses to see or a calculator to do math. Glasses are a technological tool, an extension of the human being that helps a person see better than they would normally. Cybernated machines are nothing different. They are nothing more than extensional tools that expand our abilities. We have created these powerful extensional tools to improve our functionality through technological invention. We must realize this and maximize its potential. As far as government decisions, it is just another technological process. There is no labour or national way to design an aeroplane. So why do we use these outdated worldviews to operate society today? In a resource-based economy, people do not guess or project their opinions for decisions. They arrive at them through the use of advanced technological tools that incorporate the scientific method. When we recognize society as a technological invention with its component variables really no different than the component variables of an aeroplane, we then see that our orientation towards so-called government should be purely scientific. Politics is now outdated, for its processes are unnecessarily subjective, highly influenced by money and virtually without scientific reference. The notion of government will be eventually outgrown entirely and replaced by a simple, objective system of global resource management and technological organisation. Government thus becomes a cybernated system which is intimately combined with industry and is responsible for the production of distribution of goods, along with resource and environmental management. It is very, very simple. The basic components for this new system will be as follows. A central computerized database containing catalogues of every known material and every known technical understanding. As noted previously, computers have the ability to catalogue information and logically compute it on a scale much larger and faster than people can. As stated before, the most efficient decisions we can make are decisions that take into account all known relevant variables. Only computers will be able to handle this integration of all known earthly knowledge and come up with decisions that will be logically based on the full known range of data. It is no different than our example of the car mechanic and his tailored database program for solving car problems. This central computerized database contains all known knowledge ranging from the properties, combinations and applications of every element on the periodic table to the complete known history of technological invention. And for the new method of problem solving and invention, it will be an interaction with this database program. It will likely come in the form of a simple website on the internet. So you would go to the website, you would pose a problem or question to the database. It will then give the best feedback that is possible based on the current state of knowledge and at the period of that time. It is no different than interfacing with a calculator, but this new calculator has a powerful associative system, an extensive database of knowledge that can not just understand and compute maths, it can integrate physics, biology, astronomy, every field of science into a concentrated awareness. Now, in order for the system to be effective, it must also have real-time feedback input from the planet in order to understand what resources we have. We can account for the dynamic equilibrium of this planet. Thus, the centralized computer database is locked into an Earth-wide autonomic sensor system with environmental sensors in all relevant areas of the planet. This holistic system keeps track of all resources on the planet while also monitoring the Earth for environmental disturbances which humanity should be alerted to, such as earthquakes, tsunamis. This will not happen overnight, but if we begin the constructing regional systems and over time interlink all those regional systems together, it could be created sooner than we think. Now, even with our understanding of the profound labour-relieving effect computerised automation will have on society when we finally decide to outgrow our scarcity-based monetary system and focus on maximising technological invention and abundance for all the world's people, there will still, of course, be the necessity for human technicians to work with the system, updating it and overseeing its operations. We could call them interdisciplinary teams. Interdisciplinary teams of technicians oversee the system and help orient research projects to continued growth, efficiency, and social evolution. This would simply work in scientific fields relevant to the functionality of society. It is an optimized version of the system. No more than 5% of the world's population would likely be needed to run the show. The more optimized and powerful our technology methods become, the more the number decreases. So what this resource-based economy basically does in terms of people working, nobody will have to work anymore. Instead, people will be able to do their passions, will be able to do what they want to do, while also having the basic necessities of life taken care of, such as food, shelter, water, those sort of things. At the present moment in the system, we're stuck in a paradigm of a 9-to-5 job where we have to get those basic necessities of life. And if you look at Maslow's pyramid, you will see that the majority of humanity is stuck in the bottom 2 levels. They don't really delve into the top 3 levels because they don't have time or money. 5% of the world's population will not really work, but monitor how the system goes, the resource-based economy. They'll interact with the computers, and it'll be a revolving team. So no one stays in a particular role, and this keeps the transparency going so everyone knows how it works. It's called a holographic social structure. Now, many of you who hear these ideas very often ask, what about democracy? How do I participate in the system? Do we elect the interdisciplinary teams? In a resource-based global economy where industry and government are combined into a cybernetic system that incorporates advanced problem-solving database computers with vast planetary-wide observation sensors, the traditional concepts of politics, elections, and the like has no relevance or basis. While this notion scares a lot of traditionally minded people, it must be reiterated that our problems in life are technical and are relative only to humanity as a whole. We must also face the fact that so-called democracy in today's world is an illusion. It always was. People think they have choice in our current system because they can press a button on a voting machine and put some pre-selected person into power. Once that person is in power, the public then have no say. Did you vote for the offshore corporations to come and mine resources? Did you vote for the tax cuts? Did you vote for the use of chemtrails? Did you vote for where highways or power grids go up? Did you vote for the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq? The traditional concept of a participatory democracy is a cruel joke. The game has been used to give the public the illusion of control for countless generations, while the distorted monetary powers at the top continue to do whatever they please. There never was a true democracy in any country in history, and there will never be as long as the monetary system is in operation and scarcity is perpetuated. So then, how would a person participate within a resource-based economy? Well, how would you define participation? True participation in society would entail understanding how society technically worked and then constructively proposing ideas or innovations to be implemented or created or altered. Firstly, one would interact with the central database, which would likely come in the form of an advanced internet web page, which everyone has access to. They would then input their proposal. Then the central database, with its historical knowledge database and full integration of all scientific fields, would then analyse the concept for its scientific and technological integrity, along with optimising the materials required, if applicable, based on current understandings and availabilities. So basically what that says there is that when you interact with the computer, it'll give you feedback from the environment. How much resources can we use for our invention? If the proposal is initially accepted by the central database after it examines it for its best integrity, it would be either immediately put into production, such as would be the case for a desired invention, or it would be turned over to the interdisciplinary teams that oversee the implementation of the new proposal and orient it into the system. The person who submitted the proposal could then become part of the interdisciplinary team relevant to the idea. These teams would not be fixed, but constantly revolving based on who wants to participate in a given field and what they have to contribute. This could be considered a true election based on what a person has done and not what they claim or say, as is the case with most politicians. Furthermore, the public sphere of traditional corruption will have no basis, for there is no reward for it. The interdisciplinary teams do not get paid in any way, for their worldviews have been expanded to realise that their reward is, in fact, the fruits of society as a whole, and they contribute because it is actually in their best interest to do so. In a resource-based economy, participation is open to everyone because all issues are fundamentally recognised as technical. The degree to which person contributes is based simply on that person's education and ability to create and problem solve. This is why expanded education is critical. In society today, the public is always kept uninformed and as dumbed down as possible through mass media. This way the government can maintain control. In a resource-based economy, the goal of the educational system is to produce the most intelligent and aware human beings as possible. Why? Because everyone then becomes a contributor, greatly affecting our collective social evolution for the better and improving the lives of all. There would be no budget restrictions or agendas to deter that. Now, due to the importance of this section, let's recap what has been addressed. Who makes the decisions in a resource-based economy? No one does. No one makes the decisions, removing haphazard and dangerous self-interest we see today. Decisions are arrived at by the use of the scientific method, utilising computers that gain real-time feedback from the environment, along with a central historical database of all known technical information, and maintained by revolving interdisciplinary teams. The goal is to increase objective decision-making as much as possible, and when we understand that our problems in life are technical, the result of this approach will be one of meaningful progression. In the end, the only real relevance to a so-called governance organisation is production of goods and services that are equally available to all, research projects and educational systems to expand our knowledge, understandings and applications, and the constant monitoring of the Earth's resources and atmosphere for feedback on possible environmental problems. The only real problems in life are the problems that are common to all humans. Cities and lifestyle. In this section, we're going to extend the tenets of the resource-based economy into one of our most fundamental social inventions, the city. The Venus Project Circular City, among others. We will discuss how people's lifestyle in a resource-based economy might manifest, often with profound different values and goals than we see today. Before moving into the next part, let's view a short video clip called Designing the Future, which details some of the designs and processes of the Venus Project.
A society without a vision of what the future can be is bound to repeat past errors over and over again. This brief video will outline a vision designed to avoid old mistakes. This vision of efficiency, sustainability, and intelligent planning can lead us into a world of unlimited human potential. This vision could be a showcase of what the world can be in our cybernated age. science and technology could be used for human betterment and the restoration and protection of the environment, serving as an example of the intelligent application of the systems approach. While some people advocate the restoration of existing, worn-out cities, these efforts fall short of the potentials of modern technology. Modifying outmoded cities simply delays the inevitable problems. It is actually much easier in the long run to build newer cities from the ground up than to restore and maintain the old ones. A total city system approach requires overall planning to attain a higher standard of living for the occupants. The circular arrangement efficiently permits the most sophisticated use of available resources and construction techniques, with a minimum expenditure of energy. The outer perimeter will be part of the recreational area, with golf courses, hiking and biking trails, and other outdoor activities. Inside this area, a waterway surrounds the agricultural belt, with indoor and outdoor agriculture. Continuing toward the city center, 8 green sectors provide clean, renewable sources of energy, using wind, solar, and heat concentrators. The residential district would include unique landscaping, lakes, and winding streams. A wide range of creative and innovative apartment buildings and individual homes will provide many options for the occupants. New and innovative methods of fast mass construction for housing and building systems will inject composite materials into the mold and then extrude the form upward. In some cases, multiple city apartments can be produced as continuous extrusions, which are then separated into individual units. The apartments are lightweight and high strength. All of the dwellings are designed as self-contained residences. The outer surface of these efficient structures serve as photovoltaic generators, converting solar radiation directly into electricity for heating, cooling, and other needs. The thermocouple effect will also be used for generating energy. These individual homes are prefabricated and relatively maintenance-free, fire-resistant, and impervious to weather. With this type of construction, there would be minimal damage from floods, earthquakes, and hurricanes. Their thin shell construction can be mass-produced efficiently with little environmental restriction. Adjacent to the residential district are the planning, science, and research centers. The 8 domes surrounding the central dome house the art, music, exhibition, entertainment, and conference centers. The central dome houses schools, healthcare, access centers, communications networking. It is also the core for most transportation services, which move people by transveyors horizontally, vertically, and radially, anywhere in the city. This minimizes the need for automobile transportation, except for emergency vehicles. Transportation between cities would be by monorail or maglev. Waste recycling and other services are beneath the city. The plan will use the best of clean technology in harmony with the surrounding environment. The Central Dome also houses the cybernated complex, which serves as the brain and nervous system of the entire city. It might project a 3D virtual image of Earth using satellite communication systems which provide information on weather, agriculture, transportation, and overall functionality. This cybernated system will use environmental sensors to help maintain a balanced load economy, which avoids overruns and shortages. For example, in the agricultural belt, electronic probes monitor and maintain the water table, soil conditions, nutrients, and more. This method of electronic feedback can be applied to the entire city system. With computers now able to process trillions of bits of information per second, they are vital for arriving at more appropriate decisions for the management of the cities. Colonization of the oceans is one of the last frontiers remaining on Earth. Prodigious ocean city communities will evolve as artificial islands, floating structures, undersea observatories, and more. These large marine structures are designed to explore the relatively untapped riches of the oceans, provide improved mariculture, freshwater production, energy, and mining, they could also provide almost unlimited riches in pharmaceuticals, chemicals, fertilizers, minerals, and other energies. Ocean cities would be resistant to earthquakes and greatly relieve land-based population pressures. Unsinkable floating sea domes will provide for those who prefer unique offshore or island living. In the event of inclement weather, they could easily be towed ashore, mounted, and anchored to elevated support structures. Mariculture and sea farming systems are used to cultivate and raise fish and other forms of marine life to help meet nutritional needs. These marine enclosures are designed as non-contaminating integral parts of the ocean system. A sustainable environment can be achieved through the infusion of technology and cybernetics applied with human and environmental concern to secure, protect, and encourage a more humane future. In the final analysis, we are one people and we share one planet.
We're moving to the final part of our presentation. In regard to lifestyle, it is important to point out that in our current system, the traditional family is broken, with both parents having to work in order to survive. Monetary economics undermines family cohesion and childcare. Stress is always high due to medical bills, insurance, education, employment, insecurity, and living costs. In a resource-based economy, the integrity of the family will be returned. Beyond that, the cultural values of society as a whole would also undergo profound change. With the monetary system outgrown and the world working together to produce abundance for all the citizens of the planet, activities we appreciate will expand greatly, for the amount of human freedom will be unlike anything we know today. Consequently, one of the more in-depth changes in values and lifestyle will be the way people think about property. In most of the world today, property is a powerful concept, with people often associating their social status to what they own. The monetary system requires cyclical consumption to function, meaning constant consuming. This naturally leads to the need for people to be manipulated into thinking they want or need a particular good or service. With the powerful tactics of modern advertising, most in the world support an artificial materialistic value system that entails wanting more and more goods and services, often regardless of the necessity of utility. In a resource-based economy, the monetary system will no longer pollute the human mind via its manipulative arm, advertising. The endless sea of billboards, media commercials, magazines, and the like will no longer poison the landscape of our perceptions. This will cause a dramatic shift in what we find important and hence change our lifestyles. More powerfully, in a resource-based economy, there is no reason for property. Property is an outgrowth of scarcity. People who had to work very hard to create or obtain a product or resource, in turn protected it because it had immense value relative to the labour entailed along with the scarcity associated. Property is not a Kiwi or capitalistic idea. It is a primitive mental perspective generated from generations of scarcity. People claim ownership because it is a legal form of protection. In a system of abundance without the need for money, the idea of ownership becomes irrelevant. In this new system, no one owns anything. Instead, everyone has unrestricted access to everything. Ownership is a massive burden. No longer will a person need to live in one place. One could travel the world constantly. Anything needed is obtained without restriction. There is no reason for abuse, for there is nothing to gain. You can't steal things that no one owns, and you certainly couldn't sell them because there's no money in the system. To put it into a phrase, the resources of the planet are common heritage to all the world's people. Household items are obtained through the distribution centres in the cities, while recreational items are available on call or near the location for their use. For example, if you go to a golf course, you would select on-site your clubs from the most effectively designed models available. You use them and then you return them. If you decide to keep the clubs, go ahead, that is your burden. It's just like a library where you go to get books, use the books, you take them back later. For why would a person want to transport, maintain and store golf clubs anyway, when they can always have access to them and then return them on site? Our homes today are full of junk that we hold on to because of the supposed value they maintain. This waste will no longer be needed. In this economic model, the city complex, or in fact the entire world, is really your home. If you require an automobile for whatever reason, the car is made available to you. When you get to your destination, the satellite-based driving system will automatically make the car available for others to use, as opposed to sitting in some parking lot, wasting space and time all day. In society today, the need for property results in extreme product overlap and redundant waste. It is much more intelligent to create a universal shared system, for it dramatically reduces waste, redundancy, and increases space and efficiency. In conclusion, there are many out there who would say that what we are describing here, that is the development of a resource-based economy, would never happen. They would typically cite it as human nature, or the power elite, or erroneous technical opinions in their defense. This cynicism has no support in view of humanity's technical and social development throughout history. We have come from a world of extreme superstition, abject slavery, and extreme racism and social prejudice to a slowly emerging world of race, equality, scientific ingenuity, and emerging values that desire to see humanity benefit as a whole. We have gone from smoking signals to the telephone to electronic mail sent at near the speed of light. Everything that has been considered impossible has gradually become possible. The Wright brothers were told by experts that it was impossible to fly. Years ago, people thought the earth was flat until they made ships and sailed around the earth mapping it. To assume something is impossible in this world is a failure of creativity. In the words of Carl Sagan, the old appeals to racial, sexual, and religious chauvinism, to rabid nationalist fervour, are beginning not to work. A new consciousness is developing which sees the earth as a single organism and recognises that an organism at war with itself is doomed. We are one planet. Kia ora, thank you.
Venus. Māori call it Tarawera. Morning star is the other word we call it. Is that a euphemism for one religion, one world?
The name itself actually came from founder Jacques Fresco, where he actually stays in California at a place called Venus. Now, Venus was selected by Jacques because he stays in Venus.
Are you promoting this, what you're perceiving? Are you for it?
We advocate it because we see that it's one of the only ways. The monetary system does not work, and because it's an environment that's based on competition and scarcity. And because you have that environment, our behaviours are shaped from that environment. There's a lot of work done by Sapolsky, Dr. Gaba Mate. He's done a lot of studies as well and research about how environment affects us and our behaviours.
The only part that I felt a bit uncomfortable with was how our brains were compared to a computer. Because I just feel that our brains are very intricate things, and I've always believed that it's not really the computer, it's the man behind the computer. So I don't think I can believe that machines do a better job than human beings, because it's a human being behind the machine that's feeding it. And I was also thinking, where's all the people? What will the relationships be like in the future? It seems we will be faced with machines of all kinds. Just everything's just so. Where's the interaction? Where will be the interaction here? I'm just looking mainly at relationships into the future for our mokopuna especially stuff. And I was thinking, that's for life for my mokopuna in the future. It's not going to be like now where we're face to face, kanohi ki kanohi. It's going to be, we're going to be faced with machines and machinery and
No, that's not the case at all.
robots.
The machines will be set up there to take care of all the mundane jobs. That's all they're going to be used for, to make our life better, so we can have free time to be socially interactive with one another. so that we can spend time with family. The machine at the moment, most people work a 9-to-5 job they hate. Why? Because they need money to buy the basic necessities of life. But if you can take care of them getting those basic necessities of life, they don't spend time working anymore. They can spend time with family. The incentives would change. You'd be more creative. You could have time to invent, create, design, explore the world, do whatever you passionately wanted to do with your family. And that's the whole idea, is to free humanity from the slavery system we're in now.
So now I'm thinking, how the big move is still toward land. Anyway, what would happen to that in the future?
At the end of the day, this is just a model for the whole world that we can utilise in the future. How we get from a monetary system to that depends on everybody and each nation working together. How that comes about, I have no idea. That's up to all of us.
So what is recognised is that there's something very wrong with our world, and there's something very wrong with the way our governments interact with each other. I mean, 5%, there is 5% in the world who claim ownership over the majority of the land and its resources. And so what this advocates is that that land, that resources, should become the common heritage of all of humanity. And so one of the only ways that this can come about is that we've got to come together as a people. And I hear what you're saying in regards to interrelationships. I think in terms of our presentation, so I'm talking about a way and a means in which we can create relationships and shared space. Because ultimately it is about unifying our people, regionally, nationally, globally. And once we can unify our people, then we need to look at, okay, what does a global societal infrastructure look like? And then really it's about us coming together and deciding, okay, this is what we want to see in our world.
Currently the system struggling to carry 7 billion people. Clearly the Venus Project, the model shows that the planet can carry in excess of 17 billion people comfortably. Is that a fair sum up?
Well, what you don't realise is that a lot of why you get this projection that we can't support most of the people on the earth is because of the created scarcity, meaning companies that own oil, they reduce the production of the oil so that the prices go up. If you keep things in scarcity, people want it. So companies hold it back, there's patents, there's copyrights, those all withhold progression back of a society. And because that happens, because of monetary gain and profit, we get this projection that can we feed the whole world? Yes, we can feed the whole world.
What you're saying is the more resources that we have, it changes our behaviour. Because like scientific, you're using a lot of science, like to analyze people. You're using science to, a lot of science, but people, you said holistic, but that's not holistic to me. It's holistic, with the, resources and stuff, but people are different. We have like a inner being, we've got a modi, that sort of stuff. And how can, like with the computers, who's putting the info in the computer? Who's going to control the computer? Aren't you afraid, for danger, look, the way the world is, computer technology against us,
This is where the incentive system comes in, and being a participant in the system. Why would you want to create harm to other human beings when in actual fact that's going to be a harm to your life? You have resources available. you have whatever you need available. Why would you stop that from happening? You're only hurting yourself. This is where I went back to environment being a big role in how it shapes our behaviours. The environment we've been in has been one of scarcity and competition. So that's why we have a lot of these behaviours that have come about. If you change the environment one is in, you change the behaviours. If you have access to the basic necessities of life, if you don't have to work as a slave anymore, your values will change. Social values will need to change to move into a system like this.
I just want to mention scarcity. If you have a really in-depth look at what scarcity is, in actual fact, all crimes in the world can be linked to scarcity. And so a lot of those beliefs and principles that we had are indoctrinated. And so there's a lot of work to be done, yes.
The monetary system doesn't allow you to express your full uniqueness to your full potential because you need money, there are rules, there are laws in place to stop you from progressing in the system. It is totally different. And I'll get back to this, that in order for this to actually take place, everyone needs to work together as one humanity and remove all these bullshit, excuse my language, boundaries, all these things that separate us. So divide and conquer has driven us to where we are in this current monetary system.
Thank you. So can you not see it as like, because it kind of looks like the Stepford wives, you know, living like that. Like Saviana said, why can't we go back to?
Well, I think we actually can. Well,
But like a robotic.
yes, I think we actually can. I remember when I did my thesis about the Māori show bands, they asked me, what was so different about the Māori show bands? They wore Western clothes, they played Western music, they had Western hairpiece. So what was so significant about them? And you know what I found? It was the way in which they played. And that was what was so significant about them. So what we're actually doing is utilising the computers. They are a tool at the end of the day. They're the tool to enhance our lives, not to take over our lives.
Thank you. Thanks. Sorry, we'll move on.
Yes, in regards to the technology, and I think a lot of us, the unknown is scary. That's all it is.
And
The unknown is scary. And I take talk of that. And in regards to the technology, we don't know anything about technology today anyway.
Yeah.
We don't know what's happening up in the satellite and what's on our phones, and so what's the difference there? And in the point in regards to our tūpuna, remember that quote we heard today? An old friend in a new time? So our own stuff doesn't, just because it's a new setting doesn't mean we can't carry it.
And as I said, this will challenge our beliefs. The other thing I want to go over in terms of technology quickly is that a lot of our beliefs about technology has arrived through things like movies that portray robots that go and kill people and all that. Those are false illusions and are there to make people profit. It's not actually what will happen in the future if you don't want that to happen.
Right, Anthony.
You know, there's some bad and there's some good, but then I look on a way from being in the PI with all those hurricanes and things, our land's going down, and thinking about the one with this living under the sea, our land up there, it's a good idea. and I don't have to pay so much dollars to go home. But then I need some not gonna come back, you know? You know, I'm just looking at a positive way and a funny way, but no, it's just neat, just looking at it. But I don't know
What it highlights is what is possible. So if we took away all the barriers, and then we decided on, okay, what would our dream world look like? And this is just an example of what could be possible.
It's just a possible solution. It's not something we are all going to right now. It's a possible solution.
It's not the solution.
The government doesn't have a solution at all.
But you also have a choice, though.
Yes, and it's a choice between love and fear at the end of the day.
Okay, over here, thanks,
You said divide and conquer. Is technology all about divide and conquer? You've got Bill Gates, who, you know, he is like the man for technology, and there is no other that is bigger than him. So how can we all be on that same level when you've got all this technology and someone's going to have to, someone's going to want to put their hand up and say, yeah, well, that's mine.
Well, that's why I went back to the property presentation, where we have this notion that I own this, I own that. When in reality we're born into this world without resources in our pocket. We leave this world without resources in our pocket. We just utilise them while we're here. But we need to utilise them in a humane way. Now with Bill Gates, he has monopolised the whole market because we're in a monetary system to make profit. That is why people think that he has technology, because he keeps that market going. He pays people to, he breaks a lot of laws, and gets fined, and he doesn't mind paying for breaking those laws. So when you're in a monetary system, it gives a belief that people think that technology is scary. People think that someone can do something bad with technology. We get those perceptions because we're in a monetary system based on scarcity and competition.
Kia ora, if we take all the barriers away and everything, and me being me, and I don't have to make any money because everything's sweet, I'm going to want to probably make more children. A lot more children. And then there's going to be a population boom. Would you necessarily have to take that gene out of me, because I would love to make more children?
Not at all. The whole idea is not to take genes out of people or to change people who they really are. They're there to express their full uniqueness. Each one of us has a uniqueness about us, and this is what the system is. It's designed so we can express who we really are. In terms of making children, I guess, why would you want to bring in 1 million children into... Well, then that goes back to your incentives and what you want to do. Do you want to create? Do you want to design? Do you want to invent?
Mate, so one last comment would be...
I don't actually have a question, because you're actually sitting in the midst of all social workers. And the key role to us is humanity. And that's what we should never lose focus on. As a social worker, we fight for injustices within our world. And if we, like I said to them before, if we believe that there is a God, and we believe that God created the world, and we believe that God created humans, then you and I are truly brothers and sisters, not by culture. You and I are brothers and sisters that should live in harmony in this world. I don't know how this, talk to me. I like new technology. I don't want to go back to our tūpuna time. I would not be able to survive. And, hey, as a bonus of this, if MJ was alive, then I would be meeting him.